Hey solos! For our last two solo stories of June, the month of solo stories, we are going international. Hey everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do, and welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World, now in its second year. This episode is with ClaireFreedomStein, who is actually a returning person on the Disney Solo Magic podcast. She and I talked last year, and she was so wonderful to come back on the podcast and talk about this crazy big trip that she took earlier this year. Claire is based in the UK and she's a travel agent, and she took this trip that just seemed like the trip of all trips. She did all the Asian parks. She also came to North America. She was in Walt Disney World. She just did so much. We talk about food. We talk about her experience at the Asian parks. And also, Claire was really open and frank about anxiety that she had when she was in Japan. And so we talked a little bit about that too. And I really appreciate the vulnerability that she brought to the conversation, because it's something that so many of us solo travelers deal with when we are traveling by ourselves. Since the time we talked and the time that this is going out, Claire also went on a Disney cruise. And so we talked a little bit about that as well. So please make sure you go to her social media accounts, follow them all, because you'll be able to see pictures and videos and stories and all that stuff from all of these trips, because the pictures are great. Her narrative, her storytelling through social media is fantastic as well. You can also find all of my social media links in the description below. I'm on Instagram and on Facebook and on Threads. I'm the most active on Instagram, so please come and direct message me there if you have a question or a comment. And this podcast also has a Patreon, and like all the different solo stories, you can watch the video of Claire and I talking. And it's really fun. It really does feel like just kind of friends getting together and talk. And I think that having the opportunity to watch us talk is kind of a nice bonus for the Patreon. When you are a Patreon member as well, you also get a reflection, 5 minutes sometimes it's 20 minutes of something related to the episode, as a way just to have a little bit more behind the scenes. So please come and join me on Patreon. You can get a 7-day free trial. It's $4 American or $5 Canadian, which is like $1 or $1.25 a week, which isn't really that much money and helps keep the podcast ad-free. All right, let's go over to talk to Claire. It was, again, so great. I'm so glad you get to listen to our international conversation. Hello, Claire. I am so excited to talk with you again. You're one of the first people that has now done a second solo story, and I can't wait to talk with you again, but also to talk about this trip. So hello.
Hi, it is so good to be back, and it feels like just coming back to talk with a friend. And a whole year, I can't believe it.
I know. And the travel that you have done that we are talking about for this particular episode is travel that people could do over a year or a decade, but you did it in one trip, which is amazing. Before we get into it, can you introduce yourself and how people can get in touch with you and all that stuff too?
Sure. Well, I'm Claire. I'm based in the UK, and you can find me across Instagram and TikTok at Claire Freedom Stein. I'm all about freedom for travel and solos and be yourself, but Claire Freedom Stein. And as I said, I'm based in the UK. I am a mom. I'm even a grandmother now.
Ooh.
I know it's
That's
wild.
weird. Yeah.
And I'm a travel agent by trade. And I'm just obsessed with the Disney parks and living dreams and not waiting for anybody else to go do it. And on this trip, I really, I did the big one and completed all the Disney parks globally. So that gives you a hint about what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes, and you are not based in US or Canada like most of the people that I talk to, correct?
That's right. Yeah, I'm in the UK. I'm about 30 minutes outside of London. So,
And
yeah,
it
I have
was
a little bit further to travel.
yeah, and that's why it was so great to talk with you at first, because the idea of traveling solo to Walt Disney World when you are going across the pond, that's a totally different level of solo travel. So I'm so glad that we talked then, and I'm glad that we're talking now.
No, it's going to be fantastic. And yeah, I'm someone who really enjoys the journey as well as the destination. So I have no qualms about getting on a plane for 8 hours, 15 hours. I just relax. It's all good.
Okay, cool. That sounds unlike my experiences. But since we're talking about both the journey and the destination, let's talk about this trip that you just took.
Sure.
So, Claire was like, "Oh, I'm going here, and now I'm here, and now I'm here, and now I am here, and now I am here, and now I'm here." And everything happened. I mean, it feels like it was like 2 weeks.
That from leaving London to arriving to the US, because there was a US end to this trip, but the Asia section of it was actually 16 days. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So it
Because I'm
was
like, for me,
intense.
it seemed like it was really close, but it was like the math of it does not make any sense.
Overall, I left London and it was Shanghai. I did 3 nights in Shanghai, 3 nights in Hong Kong, 4 nights in Tokyo. It was 5 nights in Osaka and then into the States. Yeah.
Oh, and then please share how many days those days were as well for the US part of the trip. You
Oh, the
said that so
US.
nonchalantly, but like
I
that's not
know.
your home base. You
Well,
still
when you
were
have
traveling.
limited time, you try and, maximize this time. But no, the US, I then flew into San Francisco. That's the best route from Japan to the States. Is San Francisco is a great hub. So I had a all day stopover layover in San Francisco. I went and explored there, Walt Disney Family Museum. So that just worked out beautifully, and then into Pennsylvania to see a friend. So I was there for 3 nights, I think, and then to Massachusetts to another friend for 3 or 4 nights, and then down to Florida, of course, Orlando to see my best friend. And I was there for about 5 nights, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and your best friend is not Mickey, but you did see him as
Well,
well.
I saw Mickey all along the way. I saw my friends that will give me hugs, my furry friends and character friends. I saw them all along the way. And it's not any less special. I could see them every day, which I felt like I did. And it's still just as magical wherever they are. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is just an epic, epic trip. So, this was your first time in the Asian parks, is that correct?
That's correct. I've traveled a little bit in Asia before. Um, Thailand. So that's my other side, because I don't just do Disney I do travel,
Right,
travel.
yes, yeah.
But it was my first time doing these Asia parks. Japan had been the big one for me for the longest time. Fantasy Springs, that was it. I was so excited for that. But Shanghai, the logistics of going to China and then Hong Kong, yeah, it is a completely other world, most definitely, but in a really lovely, surprising way. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us about your experiences at these parks because I know a lot of Disney fans are interested in going, but I mean, going to Asia solo it can seem very intimidating, but also going to these other Disney parks. I talked with Matt Richardson, again, another double solo story, and he talked about his experiences at those parks. Tell us about your experiences at those parks, especially knowing Orlando so well.
Sure. I mean, you really research is key. And I have so many Disney apps on my phone now for every park to try and get the maps, the attractions, trying to figure out food, all of those things. I will say what surprised me the most is because everyone was concerned about the language barrier. I was a little bit concerned about the language barrier. I've got to tell you, any of the parks, the signage is in English as well as their native language. So you have the Cantonese, the Mandarin, the Japanese, everything is in English. But these cast members, Shanghai particularly, I mean, they can all speak a little bit of English. And if they can't, out come their devices with a translate feature, just like we have Google Translate. They have their own version of it in China because Google isn't a thing. They call it the Great Firewall of China. So you're a little bit more limited with apps. But out come the devices. There was, I didn't have a problem my whole trip communicating with anybody, which is phenomenal. And not only that, they want to know about you. They're really, it's not that they've never seen a Western visitor. That's, they have, but obviously we are more rare. So they do want to get to know you. They are curious. I had the absolute best time. They are the Disney cast members globally are the friendliest people I know, and they all want to make you welcome, from, you know, bringing me little treats or stickers. The Asia parks really love their stickers, and they would get me to spell out my name letter by letter, because they all wanted to give me first time stickers here, first time at this show, first time at this show. I have a wonderful collection of stickers now. So I had absolutely no problem. I just felt really safe and looked after. I did stay in Disney hotels the whole time, so I did kind of keep myself in the bubble. A little bit of transportation working out in Japan, because I did other things within Japan. But with Shanghai, Hong Kong, the Disney transport, you know, there are the buses, there are the shuttles, there are, all the cast members will help you. So it's so much easier than you can possibly imagine it's going to be, really.
Well, that's really good because I think it's like the language and the alphabet is just so different than ours, right? That it seems like, oh, there's going to be all these barriers, but it's good to know that people can like expect the same level, or like know that like you can trust the Disney cast members to be able to like provide that Disney experience. What did it feel like going into the various parks when you have this intimate knowledge of Walt Disney World, like that is a place that you go to often? What did it feel like to go into these parks that I can imagine is like this blend of very familiar, but then also a little like unfamiliar?
Right. You walk in, and the layouts are very similar
Hmm.
on most counts. Shanghai, I mean, you have the staple lands. You always have the staple lands. There is a fantasy land. There is a Tomorrowland, sometimes called Discovery Land. I'm trying to think. Paris is Discovery Land. I'm trying to think if it was Tomorrowland. Adventureland is going to be there. It was lovely walking into Toontown in
Yeah.
Tokyo. But this Main Street concept, they don't always call it Main Street, but it is that concept of the entryway, walking down, there's the stores, you're going to find your eateries at the end. They're not always called Casey's. I did see a Casey's, I did see a Plaza. There is that. What's very different is that opening the plaza in front of the castle. That's where things are very different. I mean, Shanghai Park is on a scale you can't possibly imagine. I mean, the castle is the biggest in the world. Not only that, that plaza area, its gardens, there's so much to it. Sometimes you look at things. I remember walking in Shanghai and going, why is the carousel over there on the right? Why can I see Dumbo from the plaza? All these kinds of things. And because it's so large, having to go hunting more for these lands as well. Um, so I'd say it is familiar, but it's not as well. There are rides that are carbon copies of what you might know from Disneyland or Disney World, and yet at the same time the queue line is going to be different, or how they're presenting it. I saw soaring in Tokyo DisneySea, soaring in Shanghai, both different queue lines, both different presentations. I missed Patrick. I can't lie, I missed Patrick. So it will feel familiar for sure. And the rest, these apps are great. The apps are really good. Um, sorry, Disney World, but no, the apps are good, and you can figure them out. I think the biggest difference sometimes was with food and menus, which I'm sure we'll talk more about the kinds of things that I ate. But one night in Shanghai, just being able to find a drink without having to go to a quick service, I'm like, where is it? Because in the Asia parks, for instance, you won't see the carts with bottled drinks. you won't find any bottled drinks in stores. So you have to go to a quick service restaurant or a cafe or something. Things like that. I went, this is strange. Tokyo makes it easy. There's vending machines everywhere. But no, so I always felt safe at home, kind of like, okay, I can figure this out. But the scale of the parks, Shanghai particularly, is just massive. And you walk in a way, oh my gosh, I was walking hard to do all this in the time I had. Yeah.
And what was it like to be there solo? Well, to be all of those places solo. Like what was that like?
I don't know if the cast members were extra friendly to me because I was solo.
Oh.
Sometimes, I wonder if that may have been a part of it. They wanted me to
Well, you're also a
feel
very friendly woman, so they also probably picked
me.
up on your good energy.
I do try to be. I do try to always have a smile on my face. I don't think I could have not smiled, I'll be honest, in those parks. It was such a joy and it felt a privilege to be there. I think for me, I'm naturally comfortable being solo. That does make a difference. There, there are times, often people say when they go with someone, they want someone there, not just for security, but to share the moment with. So I think that's for me where my social media came in. I was sharing the moments through social media. Um, it doesn't take away my joy ever. So I think I'm very good at, I love making my own schedule, going where I want to go to. So I think I was comfortable solo. And I would say, anyone looking at doing these parks solo, do take a Disney trip solo in the domestic parks, the parks closest to you. For me, it's Paris, although Disney World feels like home. I'd say go do that solo first, practice eating by yourself somewhere. Some people feel really uncomfortable doing that. You do have the option of quick service, finding a bench, all of that. But I'd say feeling comfortable eating by yourself, being comfortable to approach a cast member or speak up, because you don't want to be there trying to figure this out on your own if you need that help. So feel confident about having conversations. um, my greatest hobby being solo, my brain is all about taking the photos, taking the video clips. That's my joy. It's not about followers for me. That is genuinely my joy. And one of the things I treasure about being solo is having the time to take 1,000 photos if I want to, from every type of angle. I love that. There's no one hurrying me along. So if you're that kind of person who not just going from ride to ride to ride, but is looking forward to going to these parks for the details, I'd say that's the beautiful thing. One of the advantages of going solo, you can take all the time you want to do that. But I'm not, it's funny because in my wider life, I can be intimidated by new spaces, by people, by all of this. Something about Disney I'm incredibly comfortable with, and the parks, and I didn't really feel intimidated at all. The research, what can make you feel more comfortable is the research side of it and understanding how their version of lightning lanes works, fast passes, genies, whatever you want to call them, Premier Pass. I think it's Premier Access. Yes, Premier Access. Tokyo have their anniversary pass. There's so many resources out there. And the more that you look at, be it YouTube, podcasts, TikToks, all of it, see how other people are doing it so that by the time you get to do it, it's going to feel second nature. You're going to know exactly not only what you want to prioritize, but kind of a gist of the system. So all of that helps. But for me personally, I don't scare easy when I'm in a Disney park. So I was okay. I did have time differences. I mean, with my friends in the States, it was a full 12 hours difference at times. So I would jokingly say, oh, good morning, UK, good evening, US, because I've got friends everywhere. So reaching out through social media, staying connected, and just really having a good researched understanding of what I'm going into, it all helps.
I love that so much. And I know some people, especially if you're going solo to Disney, you might not like have the Disney people around you that like really appreciate it on your social media. So I'm just like putting a plug for you can let me know and I will like all this stuff and be very excited. And I'm sure Claire would be the same. The other thing I was thinking is like when you're there with somebody else and there is an unfamiliar environment, you might not want to ask a cast member because you're like, oh, like the two of us can figure it out. And, based on like the
Right.
power dynamics of like you and the other person, like it might be a bit of a, anyway, whatever. But when you're
Yeah.
by yourself to like make sure that that Disney can like protect you. And I also want to say like doing the research, I love that as a tip so much, but I think also it's so great to be open to being surprised by things and like have that balance, right? Like do the research that you know what you're expecting so that you can then be like, ah, look at all these wonderful surprises.
Oh, for sure. And there was many, many surprises. I'm going to give a surprise away, I guess. But one
Yeah.
example of that in Hong Kong, they had a Stark Expo area. I'm a Marvel girly, and I didn't know a lot about it. And there was this thing called the Iron Man experience. And I thought, oh, what? It can't be anything major. I go in and I'm going through the queue line and these models of Stark Tech. And I'm like, this is cool. This is cool. And I'm like, oh, this is a ride. Okay. Get to the ride. It's what used to be Star Tours. And I went, oh, okay. This looks very much like a Star Tours lineup. They're handing you 3D glasses. The rows the same like Star Tours. I went, this is Star Tours. This is Star Tours, but with Iron Man. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool because there are, like you said, there are rides that are the same or similar at these parks, but then there are rides that are completely different. Like I'm thinking about the Haunted Mansion type versions across.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I mean, they really do vary. Now, Shanghai, I thought I knew. I'd heard it was the best. Then I went on it, and the whole time I just record. I rode it twice, once to record, once just to have the experience. Well, you're gonna want to ride it twice anyway, and it blew me away. And the whole time I on the audio, it's very funny because I'm going, "What is going on? What's happening?" You're up, you're down. You're not actually, any motion within the vehicle, but these giant screens that immerse you. I've heard this technology is going into the new Avatar Land in California Adventure. They are in for a treat if this is true. That was mind blowing. I've never experienced a ride like that. To then go to Hong Kong, where it's Mystic Manor with the cutest, cheekiest little monkey called Albert, that I fell hard for and bought all the merch. Really, from the socks to the hair clip to the I fell for this monkey. Um, yeah, and then Tokyo. Tokyo was as close to the traditional Disneyland version. Tokyo is a lot like the Disneyland in the most charming way. But yes, so just one ride, as simple as Haunted Mansion, can be so varied and full of delights and surprises. Pirates is another one. Soaring, as I said, seeing these different intros to it, it's the same and yet it's not. Different Toy Story land. So you think and you don't. Even Tron, Shanghai, where Tron originally came from, Shanghai's Tron, you think, oh, I've been on Tron. Well, this one goes even faster. There are no lockers. And I went, where are the lockers? There are no lockers. So it's a constant surprise. Buzz Lightyear, so many variations on Buzz Lightyear. I didn't realize. So just phenomenal. And even going to see the characters, Mickey Mouse will have his meet and greet sets. Even seeing the decor in there and how each culture inspires those as well. So it's phenomenal. Yeah. And
That's
it's
awesome.
always a surprise and delight every time. Yeah.
And so did you feel like you were constantly comparing experiences?
You can't help it.
Yeah.
You it's not fair, really, to go
I know that's
there.
what I was thinking. Like, I
I
don't think I
know
could
it's
do it
awful.
without comparison, and that doesn't seem fair.
It's awful. You can't compare, and you want to not judge, but you want to experience each park on its own merits. But you can't help but go, oh, I think I like this one better, or oh, I missed that detail. You know, like earlier I said about Soren, oh, I missed Patrick. Not to take away from what they've done, because they've really turned it into something quite different. Um, but it is very difficult not to compare. Having said that, in other ways, there's no comparison. Just the entrance ways and these plazas and the different foods and the entertainment. My gosh, I mean, we'll have to talk about the entertainment because they know how to do it on a level that is just beyond, and their whole systems for seating people and everything. And in that case, yeah, I guess I'm comparing again because I went, oh, okay, this way is far better, and I wish they would implement this at other parks. So I think if you're familiar with the parks, I think comparisons are inevitable, but it doesn't take away from it because it's still going to feel new. You've never walked in that building before,
I
you've
love that.
never seen this version of it. So all of it is a new experience. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I'm definitely going to ask you what your favorite park is, but before I do that, speaking of don't compare, but my next question is comparison. Before we get to that, you mentioned food and and mentioned entertainment. So let's talk about a little bit of the food that you had across the parks, and then tell us about the entertainment at the parks and how they differ than what people might expect in Orlando.
Sure. So with food, I'd say um, you have to have an open mind. The food is going to be, on the whole, unfamiliar. There are some more familiar things. You can always find French fries. You can, on the whole, find a slice of pizza or nuggets. They do have it. You know, they've even have Italian restaurants. I don't know. I didn't personally go to them, so I don't know how accurate they were. It's very interesting having Italian food in China. So I personally didn't do that. And I tried to embrace something new and just go with it. Some I liked, some I didn't. The Chinese food, for instance, that we experience, straight away I can tell that we are fed a ton of artificial colours, extra flavourings. Their food isn't supposed to be how we have it. And that's not taking away.
Yeah, I
Um,
was going to say that, like, in North America and I also guess in the UK, like what
yes,
we consider Chinese food is really, I'm going to say Americanized, although I guess Westernized makes a lot more sense to
yes,
incorporate UK experiences too. Much more Westernized experiences that were literally created for Westerners.
exactly.
I've read a couple books. There's some really interesting ones about like the pop-up Chinese food restaurants across like small towns in Canada and the US, and how some immigrants from China like learned about different elements that Western people were expecting, like texture and crunch in their food. So if you like
Yes,
Chinese food in America or UK or Canada, it is not like, do not expect the lemon chicken, like do
exactly.
not expect those things. It is
No,
Chinese food, which is
yes,
delicious, and it's totally a totally
yes,
different cuisine. So let's just make sure that is out
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be way more vegetables. It's less seasoning. I'm not going to say it's bland because that's not fair, but it's going to, for a Western palate, it may seem bland.
Hmm.
Um, there was some foods that I just went, I don't know about that. Your taste buds have to adjust as you're sitting there, really. I
Yeah.
did in the Hong Kong Disneyland Hotel, I did their signature restaurant, the Crystal Lotus. And this was a set menu, 7 courses. And I just went, I'm just going to eat whatever comes my way. About 5 of the courses, I went, okay. 2 of them, I went, I don't think I can eat this. It was a dessert that was red bean paste. And I went, my palate can't adjust to this.
Oh no, I
Um,
love red bean.
See, there we go. So it felt very strange to me.
To me, it was funny. I was like, oh, I'd be fine with the desserts. It's everything else.
Yeah. My Western palate wanted to put salt on things. I didn't. I was like, no, this is as the chef intended, so we're going with it. So it was a lovely experience. Their plating was beautiful, but that's a signature restaurant. Within the parks, I would say Shanghai, I was a little disappointed. It's pretty and it's presented well, and then the tastes weren't quite hitting, I'd say. Um, Curries, a lot of curried things. I'm more of a savory girly than a sweet girly. So I know everyone's expecting all the what was the cakes like, or the mousses, or the this or the that. Um, Hong Kong was somewhere in between. I had a curry there. None of it is spicy. I was always in fear of food being too hot because I didn't want my stomach to get messed up. None of it is spicy, really. Japan, Tokyo Parks is where the food hits in a big, big way. And not only is this Instagrammable food, it really, really tastes that good. There is a lot of people have seen the Baymax curry, which is like Baymax shaped like rice. And I didn't realize it's two different curries, the back and the front of Baymax. Both of them are phenomenal. It's absolutely fantastic. They also have a big Donald Duck festival right now. It's Donald's Quacky Quack Quack, no, Duck 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 City, Quacky Duck Duck Duck, something like that. But so many Donald shaped treats. So there's like a bao bun in the shape of his beak that's a chicken sandwich. It looks like a hot dog. This is a long donut. And the icings are vivid blue, vivid yellow, vivid, and you go, oh, I don't know. I can categorically say every single thing I ate in Tokyo was top notch.
I love
I
it.
was really surprised. Um, Shanghai, as I said, the food is art. There was a tiger tail sandwich. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite to my taste. There was a Pooh Bear, Winnie the Pooh Bear, toasted sandwich. That was pretty good. And I did have a couple of milkshakes, slushies. Don't eat the Lotso cheesecake in Toy Story Land. It's not, yeah, I'd just point that out. Um,
Well, is
it's
it?
not
Oh no, I
cheesecake
guess
as
I'm
you
thinking of
know
a
it.
Japanese cheesecake, but that was in Shanghai. So yeah, yeah,
This is in Shanghai.
yeah.
So it was hit or miss. The waffles are very good. Everyone knows the waffle. They know how to do a waffle. Melon ice cream, I was like, with a waffle, I don't know. It hit beautifully. So that was probably my favorite thing in Shanghai, was this Lena Bell waffle with this melon ice cream. If you're not sure who Lena Bell is, Duffy Bear and Friends, they are the superstars of these parks. It's move aside Mickey Mouse. We want Lena Bell and Duffy and Cookie Ann and craziness. It was like the Beatles. So the food there's plenty of it. Lines are there. Shanghai have started to use mobile order for some of it. Tokyo, some of it is mobile order, but the lines just move. And I just want to say that, with the American parks specifically, dining reservations are this huge, huge deal. Yes, dining reservations exist, but they're always operating this walk-up line. Everything they do so efficiently, and that includes the food. The only side note I give to that, I have never experienced anything like Tokyo DisneySea and the line for popcorn. I have never witnessed these lines for popcorn. So
But they're
the
like fancy popcorn.
right, they
Okay,
are
okay.
flavors such as roast beef. That's not good. Any other flavor, but not the roast beef. I thought I'd be fine. There was an aftertaste on it. I can't explain it, but
Oh,
um,
I got it. Yeah.
yeah. The curry one you could smell for miles. I had the soy sauce and butter. That was excellent. But if you want to try these popcorn flavors, because the line goes from the cart. When I first went into DisneySea and I saw these lines, I was like, is there a character? What attraction is it? No, popcorn carts. It's like, are you serious? 45 minutes, 50 minutes to get a popcorn or to get a snack or to get a drink from these. So DisneySea, actually, when I was talking about difficulty getting drinks, DisneySea was a bit of a problem for me eating generally. And I did get a mobile order later in the day for something that I maybe wouldn't have chosen if there was more choices. DisneySea is the kind of place you have to decide when you walk in the park where you're going to eat later. And you really do need to do that with food and drink. I stood in one line because I am a Little Mermaid stan. She was my princess. And Tokyo DisneySea has a mermaid lagoon area. It is like walking into Atlantica. The music is playing. King Triton greets you. There's me tearing up. But Ariel has a viral ice cream. It's the seashell. And it's a salted vanilla, sea salt vanilla in this seashell. And I thought, well, I have to have it. I mean, at Ariel, I found another line indoors and it was still substantial, but it was only 20 minutes in comparison to what was outside going all the way down the park. I did it. It was actually very, very good. So I'm very glad I did. And I stood with my seashell in the middle of Atlantica going, yeah, this is my life. I was very happy.
I love it.
Um,
That's a really, really good tip that like Tokyo Disney Sea, you need to
yes,
like prepare food. So that's a good thing. Like if you're going to research that,
yes.
prepare for that.
And also a tip with these popcorns, if you know you're going into Disneyland on another day, go try these flavors in Disneyland instead. Because they're there, you're not going to wait as long. Um, but the varieties, you will find something that you like. So embrace the new, try it. Nothing is terrible. Maybe that roast beef
I was
popcorn,
going to say,
but
but maybe avoid the roast beef popcorn.
nothing is terrible. Try it. It's relatively inexpensive as well. Prices will surprise you, specifically Japan, because the exchange rate is so favorable. Always have a calculator on your phone at the ready and exchange apps so you can work it out. You'll surprise yourself how cheap it is. I mean, the mochi, the famous alien mochi in Tokyo, I converted it back, 400 yen, works out to about $2.50. So in the States, those would be about $5. And that's true for merch, for everything. So you think Japan's going to be more expensive. Shanghai is actually more expensive than the Tokyo parks. So something to bear in mind that you're not going to spend as much as you think you will, not in comparison to the US parks. So once you're there, once you've had that expense, food, merch, beverages, it's going to be less than you think it is.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And so you just have to find money to get there.
That's it. That's it. Absolutely.
So let's talk about entertainment before you tell us your
Yes.
favorite.
So the entertainment offerings are extensive, more so than I was expecting. I was aware they had parades. I was aware each park had its evening show. What I wasn't prepared for was the frequency of smaller shows, stage shows, little shows involving characters. I mean, Donald Duck doing a Tai Chi class with Chip and Dale, which descends into comedy with a Tai Chi master. You're not sure if it's serious. Then you realize, okay, this is turning into a whole comedy thing. Just there in the gardens in Shanghai. It was hilarious. I am so glad I made the time to go see it. Um, Character lines can be excessively long, except for Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a dream because it's so compact, but the parades are wonderful. The evening shows are spectacular, wonderful. What is very, very interesting, and I loved, because I had limited time, I was shelling out for these Premier Access passes, which were available for parades and shows. And what I loved, I thought this was phenomenal. When they allocate you your Premier Access, not only do they allocate it, they give you a specific row and seat number. So imagine you're standing waiting for parade or fireworks. You find your little metal disc on the ground that corresponds with your exact number, and that's it. There's no quibbling. There's no camping out for hours ahead of time. Everyone just goes to their spot, escorted by cast members if needed. It is so civilized. In Shanghai, everyone sits on the ground. You can see 5 rows back, sitting on the ground, every detail of their Main Street electrical parade. With Hong Kong, they will have you sit to the very last, then everybody stand. And with Tokyo, everyone is, everyone is sitting again in Tokyo. And it's so civilized and calm and lovely. And if we could all just sit down for all these shows, everyone would have a view. It's delightful. This also goes for the indoor stage shows as well. And everyone just has their spot. And it's fantastic. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. There was a calm about it. Everyone could just enjoy the show.
I love
What
that.
was,
I love
I
that.
know, a cultural difference though, everyone is calmly clapping. There is no screaming, giant whooping. Everyone is so mindful of each other that you can cheer and you can sing along, but there's not going to be any obnoxious screaming, none of it. You would be considered rude to do so. So the whole thing is just, as I said, calming and civilized. So that's the setup for it. And I recommend getting the Premier Access for some of these. Maybe not all the parades. You can find a spot for a parade. Said everyone's sitting down. So it's not a big deal. They have benches behind, just like they do in the American parks. There's benches. And I thought, well, if I sit on that bench, I'm going to be blocked as soon as everyone stands up. Not the case. Um, so that was lovely. But the
Well,
stage,
sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking like how great that is when you are going solo to be like, okay, I don't have to figure out how to like negotiate between families and all of this stuff. Like to know there's a spot that I can go to through this pass access that I have just seems like an extra great thing when you're there solo.
yes, yes, definitely. It just took the stress out of it completely. It was lovely. Coming to stage shows,
Mm-hmm.
they are so joyful, so joyful. The music is done in English and their native language. So sometimes, for instance, if they're using music from Princess and the Frog, that's in English. They have learned, I don't know if they're reading subtitles, I don't know what, but they knew it in English anyway. Um, the narration will be split between, sometimes there's a translation up on a screen for English visitors or English speaking visitors. Sorry, it's more than just the UK. Um, so that was really nice. And the other thing that they're really good at is having these characters everywhere. Now, I'm not saying the lines are short. I had real problems in Shanghai meeting characters. A big problem in Shanghai meeting characters. Hong Kong is such a cute little park. It's a delight. And Tokyo, they were around enough that you could meet them. They've put them in enough locations that was fine. But the caliber and quality of the shows they're putting together was beautiful. It was very much, if anyone's done Disney Cruise Line, the shows like Dreams and Believe, which is, it has a running storyline, but they have pulled songs from various movies and made it work in this beautiful collage of Disney entertainment. And that's what they've done here. In Hong Kong and Shanghai, they're actually running almost the same show. They've just pulled different princesses from one to the other. So someone said to me, "Oh, don't bother going to Hong Kong. You've seen it in Shanghai." I was like, "Well, no, I love a show." And I'm so glad I did. Hearing the different princesses and things like that. And what was really cool, this show actually is called Happily Ever After, and it is where the original music for Happily Ever After in Disney World came from. I thought it was the other way round. I have since learned it was in Shanghai first.
Oh
So
wow.
I've heard it with the Chinese lyrics, and now I know it. So I was hooked because as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Oh, it's Happily Ever After." No, they had it first. So there you
Oh,
go.
the more you
Um,
know.
yeah, but I was just blown away by every fireworks show, every parade. It was so great to see a nighttime parade in Tokyo. Even we had a rainy night. Even that was cute. Um, Hong Kong, their fireworks, I think, are my favorite, and that is down to the storytelling. So they have impressed me. I'm not saying they're the biggest fireworks. Their storytelling and their art and the way the cast members, the performers, it just all blew me away. So
Oh, I love that.
don't
I love
miss
that.
these. Don't just race from attraction to attraction. Take the time to see the shows and the entertainment, because it will surprise you in the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what so many people say about the best part about going to Disney solo is those moments in between moments, the moments where you can just take it in and nobody's rushing you. So I love that you said that. What was your favorite park?
Well, the popular opinion in the Disney community is Tokyo DisneySea, and I'm going to be controversial here and say Tokyo Disneyland instead.
Okay.
I have my reasons. I don't want to take away from Tokyo DisneySea. It is innovative. It is visually very interesting. What they have done is beautiful. They have a Mediterranean harbour that is exactly like being in Italy. I've been to Italy. It is exactly the same as being in Italy. They have done their homework. They've got an American waterfront there with a full size cruise ship. It legitimately is a full size cruise ship. And you're thinking, how is this in a park? Don't forget Tokyo Bay. This is right on the sea. Um, they've got this big cruise ship there. The decoration and the detail, I can't fault it. You've got the volcano, 20,000, no, not 20,000, Journey to the Center of the Earth. I apologize. Which everyone says is the attraction. I disagree. I think Disney have better. Um, I think the park it's overwhelming on scale. It's the most confusing layout out of them, I will say. And I just didn't enjoy my experience there. It could be that when I was there, the crowds felt insane. It wasn't a special week. They have if you're going out there, avoid Golden Week and look that up. They've just had it. That is their holiday time. Always research school holidays wherever you're going. I will say that. Very important. Um, it was just unmanageable for me. I had premier access the whole day, so I'd paid for a pass to skip the lines once on each attraction that was eligible. Had I not had that, I don't think I would have stayed. It was too much.
Mm,
Having problems ordering food, all of those things.
right.
So getting to the answer, yeah, Tokyo Disneyland is my favorite. And I think that's down to, could be a little bit of familiarity, could be that it had spectacular things in it that only Tokyo parks seem to be able to do on a manageable scale, with whimsy, with cuteness. The food was brilliant. The attractions were lovely. The cast members were lovely. It felt the most like home and comforting. And I have to be careful about saying home. It's not that it was Magic Kingdom or Disneyland. I want to be really clear. It was the most Disney magic. Let's put it like that. It's where I felt the magic most. And I guess that's how I judge my enjoyment of a Disney park. Where am I feeling the magic? And that is truly where I felt the magic. Um,
I love that as
not
a criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I've decided I think that's what it is. Also, I've talked a little bit about DisneySea and what they think their best attraction is. Beauty and the Beast in Tokyo Disneyland. Oh my gosh. And I thought, once again, I'm going to be a grown up about this. I'll be fine. I might cry in the last. No. From the second I entered that castle, the pre show, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but the pre show, it fills in the beginning of the story before everything is enchanted. It does that, and then how they bring that to life. Oh my gosh. And it's trackless. It's a combination of, if you've done the attractions, where Ratatouille is trackless and it has this swirling. Um, it's like a teacup and a Ratatouille. It's not going to make you nauseous, anything like that. You are just so immersed and it's so beautiful and the effects are so well done. That is just magic, complete magic. So that, not only that, they have built the whole of Belle's Village. I mean, it's all there. The bookshop, the bakery, the this, the that, the fountain she sits at with the book. It is all there. They've got Toontown in there. That's the first time I've been on Roger Rabbit, actually. The spin. That's
Yeah,
some
old school.
nightmare of a ride. That is some that's disturbing. Um, I went, what have I just experienced? But there's something very truly, truly magical about Tokyo Disneyland. As I said, their fireworks show probably the least impressive. I was like, I thought, why are there so few fireworks? Apparently, it's to do with the weather. I have
Mm.
now learned it's to do with the weather. Hong Kong is the place for the fireworks. Tokyo is the place for your evening electrical parade, magical rides, magical experiences, magical shows, easy lines for food, all of those things. There's a charm about it. It was just that place for me.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah,
I love it. Oh my gosh, Claire, this what an epic trip. Like if I were you, I wouldn't have been able to like consolidate in my brain all these experiences. It just would have been like, oh, I'm just so I just am so like impressed and envious. And I just think that is really cool. As we kind of get to the end of our conversation, I don't know if you want to talk about some other parts of your trip that I thought that you shared on social media, that you really shared some vulnerabilities and stuff about anxiety and panic disorders. And I don't know if you want to talk about that because what I thought was really like from the comfort of my couch, I thought it was so vulnerable and brave to be able to share those feelings on social media, but then also it didn't seem like it stopped the trip at all. And I think that's just so wonderful and so brave. And I don't know if you want to talk about that so that people know that those things can happen on their trips as well, but it doesn't mean that you don't also get to go to the like Disney Family Museum in San Francisco and to Massachusetts, and like to finish your trip.
sure, sure. So to give a very brief background, I'll keep it as short as I can. I have a long history with mental health problems in terms of anxiety and depression. Later on, only a few years ago, I found out this was undiagnosed ADHD, which a million light bulbs went off. It explained an awful lot. So with that comes, if you are overstimulated, if you have too many decisions to make, everything can become incredibly overwhelming, which is why no one can, sort of understand it. Well, how come you struggle in a supermarket, but you can go halfway around the world and go to brand new places? It's Disney. It's the magic of Disney. Um, I think I have learned to, I've learned the signs, and there are times, I think sometimes the battle within is, you're overstimulated, you're exhausted. It's not always a physical exhaustion, your mental exhaustion and your brain from trying to figure all this out. It's exhaustion. And it's understanding that if you take a break, you are not wasting time, you are benefiting the rest of your trip. Take the break. Out of the whole time I was there was a couple of days where I went, okay, I'm done for now. There was one time I went back for the fireworks. It really hit me as I stepped away from the parks. I went to Osaka, something parks people will know. That's where Universal Studios is, and also the World Expo is happening. That's another event happening in Osaka, so I went for that. I did have one day where I just stayed in my hotel room, and then I went for food, and I brought it back to the hotel room, And that is all I did for the day. And you have to forgive yourself. There's this guilt like, oh, I'm wasting my precious time. I've spent this money. I can't just do this. Everyone, when you're posting as well, oh, I haven't done updates today. I haven't. You just have to hush it all out and go, this is what I need right now. Don't forget as well that when you're traveling to these places, for me particularly, I was staying in Disneyland hotels. I've got one more to do, the full Disneyland hotel collection globally as well. That's a whole other story. But I think
That's a good
Samantha's
story.
jealous.
Another time.
I know we could compare the Disneyland hotels. That's insane. Let me tell you, two of them look exactly like the Grand Floridian. They have been inspired by Grand Floridian, but that's the story.
Well, and the Grand
But you're
Floridian was inspired by Coronado, the actual Coronado, which is like San Diego area. It was also
okay.
featured in the movie Some Like It Hot with Marilyn
Oh,
Monroe.
okay.
Yeah,
All right. It's a surreal experience walking in and seeing all this white and a bird cage elevator and all
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So I go, oh,
You're like, I
I
know
know
this.
exactly where I recognize this. But also don't undervalue that you're paying to stay in these hotels. Use them. Be it themed rooms, beautiful facilities, these manicured gardens within the grounds. There are swimming pools. So remember, it's supposed to be a vacation as well. I'm very good at forgetting that. I say there's a difference between travel and vacation. I'm not on vacation. This is travel. I am serious. I am focused. But when that hyper focus runs out, which is very ADHD, it is okay to take a moment. Have a phone call with home. There was a phone call with my partner where I was in tears, trying not to be, the awful silent tears. And it was a FaceTime. And I thought, I'm going to feel better if I see his face. Oh no, it was worse. It was worse. Um, but it's okay to have those moments. Don't isolate yourself, but let go of the guilt. And if you do have those moments, it's you're human being. We're not robots. We all feel it, be it international parks, be it domestic parks. You go, I've got this many nights, I need to do this, I need to see it all, do it all. We know you simply can't. Take a breather, take a rest too. And for me, and if you suffer with these things, I don't like using the word suffer. If they affect you sometimes, just recognize it, don't ignore it. Reach out to someone at home, reach out wherever, take a breath. It's okay. You're not letting anybody down, you're not letting yourself down, and you're going to feel much better for the rest of the trip. Mental health is just as important as physical health
A
every
hundred
time.
percent. And to know yourself, right? Like, and to be curious about yourself, like what would be good in this moment. And if it's staying at the hotel, then like that's great. Like one of the things I was thinking of is that this was before the pandemic. I had a work trip to New Orleans, and it was the day that Mardi Gras was starting, and they didn't know that. Like the conference organizers didn't know that, and so there was this energetic hub in the air that stressed me out, and a lot of people drinking early on, and
Okay.
I was like, I just felt so out of sorts as a single woman in this city. I'm not a drinker, I'm not a partier, and all of a sudden I just felt really vulnerable, and I spent one of the days in the hotel actually just watching Princess and the Frog over and over and over again
Yep.
and getting takeout like jambalaya from just the
Mm-hmm.
hotel. And then I was like, what? Like, okay, I'm in New Orleans. I've been there before. I didn't really love it. I wasn't loving it this time. And I'm like, what would make this trip act like what would add to this? And I
Yep.
was like, I need structure and I need to be connected with people that like the same things that I do, which is not alcohol, which is
Yep.
like history. So then I looked for a walking tour, and it was so when I think now of the New Orleans trip, because I just felt so overwhelmed and so stressed that I had to like go home back to the hotel and cry. I also then think of the day that I just hung out in the hotel room watching a New Orleans themed Disney movie and then deciding, you know, what would work best for me to do a tour. And so I think that I think that acknowledging, just like you said, that the day in the hotel is not wasted if that's what you need. And like when you are traveling solo, there can be a lot of things that you feel more overwhelming, but you also now don't need to deal with other people so that you can take care of yourself. So thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that story because I can imagine being overwhelmed. Again, I'm thinking of that trip that and there wasn't a language barrier, but my anxiety levels, my were just so high on that trip.
yeah. And don't forget, these trips are, we've talked about mental health. Physically, they are exhausting. And your body needs a rest. And very often, I don't know if it's just me or maybe you're the same, our jobs are often sitting down for 8, 9 hours a day. Then we go, okay, now I'm going to walk 20,000 steps every day for 2 weeks. And it's hard to sustain. And then you throw in jet lag, time differences, you forget what day it is. I always call it Disney time. You don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but you know that it's Epcot day and the next day is Hollywood Studios day and stuff. So you
Right.
might not know the day of the week, but you know your schedule, what park is next or what activity is next. And I always call it that as well. Don't underestimate physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
Something is going to give. Have a rest day.
Especially when
Just
there's weather conditions that you're not familiar with, right? And that
mhm.
can also just be in Florida on a Tuesday because like it doesn't need to be like an exotic out of the way location. It can be just like, oh, this is not weather I'm used to. I know that happens to me a lot. Claire, this
Yeah.
was so wonderful. And I mean, obviously all the links down to all your social media are in the description. I'll ask you to share them again. But also we're recording on this day because you're about to get on a Disney cruise. So
Yes.
just want
Um
to throw that out there too. That even though
y-
she's done this epic trip, she's about to go to a whole bunch of other countries via a giant cruise ship.
yes.
And
Well,
yeah,
well, yeah, and if I say that I landed back, I mean, we're recording this, 20th of May roughly, and I landed back from Asia, well, Asia and the US. I got back about the 2nd of May. The Disney Fantasy has arrived in Europe, and I went online.
shucks.
There was a rate I couldn't refuse.
How
I
could
work in the
you?
travel. I work in the travel industry, and it also coincides with my daughter's midterm break.
Not
And
the
I
daughter who has made you a granddaughter, just so we're clarifying. Yeah.
no, no, no. This is my 13-year-old, and I mean, this is where I'm lucky. It's a 2-hour flight over to Barcelona, and it's going to be cruising around Italy. I'm sorry, Samantha. I'm sorry. But it was too good a price. It was meant to happen, and I'm still on leave at the moment. So yeah, last hurrah. I've had my turn. Now I have to give my family some grace, and we're all going to go have some fun together.
Have you
So
done a Disney cruise through the Mediterranean?
yes, 2 years ago, the Disney Dream. This is the first time the fantasy has been in Europe. We've always had the Disney Dream. Before that, we had the Magic actually, but the Disney Dream. I was on it 2 years ago, and I did 11 nights Northern Europe. So if
I
you
sorry, like
you
if
can come find that
for
on my
those people who aren't watching, my face is just full of jealousy. That's all. That's what's happening.
that was
The
phenomenal actually. A lot of I went Denmark, Norway, Sweden. It went to the Netherlands, Germany. That was a gorgeous, gorgeous cruise. And you can go find it on my social media. I took my daughter, 11 at the time. She did not know until the morning of the cruise in Copenhagen. I got her all that way without her knowing.
well, you've done that to your daughter a lot.
I do love I call it pixie dusting, and I very much love sprinkling magic around when I can. I don't always, when my daughter, with my loved ones, I tend to share publicly. I privately do a lot of pixie dusting and sprinkling to try and make everyone's Disney memories a little bit more magical, and I
Love it.
love to do it. Yeah.
I mean, I've never done a Disney cruise. It's on the list for
It's
sure.
overdue,
I know, it's
overdue. You've
just
got to get on there.
it's expensive for a solo, and I don't know anyone that I'd really want to do it with. But I think I have a hard time thinking of a Disney cruise around the Mediterranean. Like the Caribbean, I get, Alaska, I get. Even like northern North America, I don't know, maybe because it's kind of close, but there's something about I did a celebrity cruise for my 40th around the Mediterranean, and it was great. But there's a disconnect for me between a Mediterranean cruise and the Mediterranean generally and Disney. So I don't know. I'm excited to see your pictures.
Yeah, I'd say I think Disney Cruise Line is the kind of cruise line you go on for Disney, for the Disney
Right,
experience.
right.
And then you have to leave that Disney bubble on port days and go on excursions and exploring. And I did have, much like, my daughter at the time, she would have gladly not set foot off that ship for 11 days when we did Northern Europe. And I was like, look, we are going to see sand dunes in Denmark. We are going to go see Oslo. Don't you want to see this Olympic ski jump? Come on. So, but yeah, I can understand that. I think we've gone into this is a 7-night cruise, and what we're doing this time, instead of the pressure to see it all, and don't forget, I'm spoiled. I'm 2 hours from the Mediterranean. It's a little bit different. If I was coming that
Yeah,
far,
no, no, yeah,
I
totally.
would want to see more of it, and I understand that. But we are doing a very relaxed cruise. The only 2 excursions we're doing are very close to the port for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And the rest of it, we're just going to wander off the ship, explore around, come back. The advantage of these Mediterranean ports is most of them are right where you want to be in the town. So it's very easy to do that. The exception with that is Rome. They call it Rome as a port. It is not Rome. Rome is a 90-minute drive. If I want to see Rome, I'll go do that separately. And I was privileged to be able to do that. So, but yes, the Disney experience on Disney Cruise Line is so intensely magical, you do not want to leave it. But when they do these, I would say there is less activities happening in the day. There aren't so many quizzes. There isn't shows going on. The character meets aren't till later in the day. You're not missing anything exciting happening on board. And they've designed it that way. So they have got the right balance. Yeah.
Well, make sure everyone follows Claire and follows her trip on her Mediterranean Disney cruise. I can't wait to watch and enviously watch from, again, the comfort of my own couch. Claire, please remind people how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So you're looking for the same handle across social media. It's Claire Freedom Stein. And my Claire has all the letters in it, CLAIRE. I know there's variations. So come find me, Claire Freedom Stein. Right now over on TikTok, I'm almost doing mini vlogs of Shanghai. So I am way behind on posting. No access to TikTok in China. But no, that's coming. So I'm going through it all systematically. There's always fun over there, and my Instagram as well. That's where you'll find more of my character photos, because I'm nuts about characters. So do come find me, and feel free to reach out, send me any messages with questions or anything we haven't touched on today. But I have a feeling that maybe we'll be doing this again another year from now.
For sure, for sure. Maybe even less than a year. Claire, this was
Who
so
knows?
wonderful. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's been a joy as
All right.
always.
As always. And until next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you enjoyed this episode as well as all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. If you loved this solo story as much as I did, you probably will love watching it even more. The Disney Solo Magic Patreon has been reorganized to make it even easier for you to access this type of content. The Patreon has unedited videos of all the solo stories, as well as reflections on each episode, including the solo stories, an opportunity for you to vote on future episodes, and a monthly release schedule, which is always subject to change, but it's always kind of interesting to see what's planned. What's great about the solo story videos, and the reason why I really wanted to do the Patreon, is because we have so much fun having these conversations. And when you're listening to them, you don't totally get all of the looks, the gestures, the outfits, the laughing, the bloopers, the nose blowing, and all of that stuff that just make it like two friends having a great conversation. And we want you to be part of those conversations. So join Patreon now. It is $5 Canadian, which is about $4 American, $1 a week, or just over $1 a week, and that way you get access to these videos and can join the conversation and have even more fun. Plus, there is a free trial, and for those of you who signed up for the free trial in the different organization that I had for Patreon, guess what? You get to sign up for another free trial and get another week. I hope this organization of Patreon works really well for you to be able to see how fun it is to have these solo stories. And I can't wait to have more. I am booking solo stories up until September and October, so you don't want to miss access to how fun it is to have these conversations. And if there is enough of us, maybe we can have a big solo story meetup one day this summer. So please join me on Patreon, although if you're unable to join the Patreon right now, you can also support the podcast by subscribing, rating, reviewing, commenting, and sharing the Disney Solo Magic podcast to all of your friends and family across all of the platforms that we are connected with. The links to all of this is below, and I can't wait for another wonderful season of content. Bye!